Good evening and welcome to another edition of Money Talk with Melanie. I'm your business diva, Melanie Collette, broadcasting live from beautiful Cape May County, New Jersey. And it is actually, for once, a beautiful day here in Cape May County. At least it was today. Tomorrow is questionable because the weather is being so fickle. But anywho, I am broadcasting live via SHR Media and also streaming live here on Facebook. Welcome, everybody, to the Facebook chat. Gary, Katina, Dwight, good to see you guys. Sorry I was out last week due to technical difficulties, which I thought I had figured out, but it still doesn't look like it's working the way it's supposed to. We shall see. Anyhow, if you're listening to this as a download, thank you. And welcome to the Facebook chat, Doug. My guests today are same in DC. Beautiful day in DC. Doug Paz says she exists. I know. I've been MIA lately. My guests today are Joe Murphy. He's the best-selling author of the bestseller "Living Full Tilt: Celebrating Life." Very interesting story. I can't wait for you guys to talk to him, or for him to talk to you. And those of you in the Facey chat who have questions, I'm sure you will have plenty. You can post them in the Facey chat. But I met him at the National Publicity Summit that I went to in New York City about a month ago. So I'm happy to have him on the show today. And then I also have Christy Mattoon, who's a best-selling author as well and a subconscious mind expert. And she's going to talk to us about positive thinking and basically ways to control your mind. I think it's going to be an interesting conversation in that, of course, hey, Richard Herschel Griffin, in the Facey chat. In that, of course, you know that, I always look at things from a biblical perspective, and I just suspect some of the things that she's going to be talking about is like just rebranded Bible principles. At least whenever I see things like that, that's what I always think. I'm like, yeah, that sounds a lot like that scripture. Somebody else wrote it first. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. That's just what I always think, but a lot of times people haven't read it, so they don't, it sounds like brand new and really innovative. And I'm not knocking the guest or anything, but I'm just saying, like, the creator of the mind, all these things, a lot of these things originate from there. That's all I'm saying. So I'm interested, and sometimes, though, we need someone to come at us with a different approach and to say things a different way in order for it to click with us. So that is why I'm interested in what she has to say and how she has to say it. So Christy Mattoon is my guest for the second hour. Lisa Gerald's John Campbell, one of my sponsors, is in the Facey chat. How are you? If you are interested in one of these lovely mugs, one of my favorite mugs, says the Business Diva on it. You need your own show on Sackheads. You do, Richard Herschel Griffin. But Biz Social Personal Touch made this lovely mug for me as a gift, and you can get yours without the lipstick on the side. As a gift for me, and I absolutely love it. And if you want something like this, you can contact John Campbell in the Facey chat, and I will give you his information. Oh, wait a minute. He's going to post a link in the Facey chat as well, where you can get yourself a mug. And if you are listening to this via download, and you can get all kinds of other promotional gifts to reach out to your business leads and things like that as well. You can also go on my Facebook page and get all kinds of information about Biz Social Personal Touch as well. Anywhere Money Talk with Melanie is moneytalkwithmelanie.com. You can get information about any of my sponsors, taxmama.com, the one and only Eva Rosenberg, who I'm sure is probably relaxing on some island somewhere after the busy tax season, or of course Robert Houston from creditrepair.biz, who does all kinds of wonderful things for not only business credit, but your personal credit as well. I figured as long as I was talking sponsors, I just get them all in there. And I really do appreciate all of their support. I just people pay money to sponsor my show. It is a wonderful, beautiful thing, and I do indeed appreciate their support. Got to talk some business news. Got to talk tariffs for just a second, President Trump is playing hardball with the tariff situation. The Chinese negotiators are on their way back to China as we speak. There has been no deal. I guess they didn't read the Art of the Deal Chinese version, Chinese translation. They did not know that he was not going to be that as President Trump said, you're not dealing with the Obama administration anymore. I don't know what you all were thinking, but apparently they tried to change the game at the last minute, and President Trump wasn't having it. So that's what happened, and the negotiators are on a plane back to China. So, and he put the paperwork in to raise the tariffs, I think on some $200 billion worth of goods, to 25%. Hey, Ron Edwards, the one and only Ron Edwards, brand new Ron Edwards notebook coming your way during the next commercial break, by the way. Looking forward to that. But he's giving them some time to pull themselves together. So maybe they're going to pull themselves together. Maybe there will be a full-fledged tariff war. I think they're going to pull it together. I think something's going to happen, and they're going to pull it together, and it's going to be good for everybody. I think what needs to happen, China's not like the U.S. Like, they don't have all kinds of, choices and transparency with their government. Doesn't quite work that way in China. So, because they're a communist country, so it doesn't work that way. So, their president needs to come out looking good. So there has to be some kind of shenanigans as far as they're concerned. So I think that's probably where the issue is as far as President Xi is concerned. So I think that there needs to be some they need to do the proper propaganda before they go through with any deal where they're going to lose. They're dealing with President Trump. They're not going to win this one. You're just not. So, right, exactly, Doug. They need to save face because they're not going to win. Their economy is not nearly as strong as ours. It's not nearly as large as ours, and they're in a whole lot of debt. And for someone for the United States to say China's in a whole lot of debt and we're in a whole lot of debt, China's in a whole lot of debt. And we're in a whole lot of debt, but not near as much as China is. So, we're just in a much stronger position. They can make things uncomfortable as far as, dealing our relationship with, North Korea and things like that. But from an economic perspective, not so much. They're not holding a very strong hand. So, and what else? And Uber went public today, and not a very strong showing. So that's going to be interesting to see as well. That's the other kind of big thing to happen. Katina Person in the Facey chat said, did he tell them they were not dealing with the Obama administration? Yeah, he said something to the effect of they're not dealing with the Obama administration or Sleepy Joe's administration. Are you surprised by this? He didn't, he was like, President Xi is my boy and all, but this is not how we do things. You don't change the game in the last minute. Yeah, he said something like that. And that's the kind of stuff that he's got to not do. Like you can't do like we have to make him look. We're gonna have to make the president of China look good in the process somehow, or China's gonna have to figure out a way to do that. But we're not going to be able to glue. Katina said, "I love." Yeah, that's the exact kind of shade that Katina does love. Okay, we're coming up against our first commercial break, and a brand new Ron Edwards notebook coming your way. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. I'm your business diva, Melanie Collette. We will be back in one moment.
Since the federal government refuses to protect our southern borders, what are we the people to do? Hello, I'm Ron Edwards. Recently, a small band of concerned Americans began patrolling our southern border and detaining illegal border crossers streaming into and abusing our republic. United Constitutional Patriots have been vilified by the American Communist Leftist Union, better known as the American Civil Liberties Union, who labeled the Patriots as fascists, militia organizations, illegally detaining and kidnapping asylum seekers, yet they ignore the fact that the federal government has refused to carry out its constitutional mandated duty to protect our republic. As a result, thousands of Americans annually are murdered, raped, robbed, and stabbed, while taxpayers pay almost $200 billion to house, educate, give medical care, and whatever else the little darlings who refuse to assimilate into American society want. George Soros and others are paying elected officials to forego their constitutionally mandated duties in order to overrun America with illegals and destroy her from within, thus forcing sovereign citizens to do what the government refuses to do. I'm Ron Edwards. Join me Fridays at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific on AmericaMatters.us, Saturdays at 6 p.m. Mountain on KYAH AM 540 in Delta, Utah, and 12 a.m. Sundays on Talk America Radio Network. Sponsored by the Tri-County Liberty Coalition.
Right now, you can get the credit you deserve. Just visit MrCreditRepair.biz. Let their expert credit repair specialists remove late payments, charge-offs, collections, even old bankruptcies fast and easy. That's MrCreditRepair.biz. Why go anyplace else? Increase your credit score today. At Mr. Credit, you always get a quality service, all at our everyday discounted price. Stop getting turned down for cars, credit cards, or even new homes. Visit MrCreditRepair.biz today. That's MrCreditRepair.biz. Your credit repair is our number one priority.
Making a living can be tough these days with so many jobs going overseas. If you love numbers and puzzles and want job security, you can become a tax specialist with an amazing 6-month tax course from Tax Mama. Operate your own tax practice locally or anywhere in the world where there are American taxpayers. It's a great way to write off your trips to visit family for months at a time. Everything you need to pass the IRS 3 special enrollment examinations is included in this course. Visit irsexams.school. And if you need more than 6 months, that's okay. Take your time. You're in the course until you pass the exams or until you unsubscribe and reject Tax Mama's emails.
We're back. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. I'm your business diva, Melanie Collette. I was busy trying not to crack up at Ron Edwards' notebook. Jeez, Ron. My goodness. He's just so, oh man. He's amazing. If you didn't hear that, like, you need to go back and listen to that notebook. His most recent one on illegal. He just doesn't pull any punches at all, like ever. Doesn't do politically correct. Just doesn't. And it just cracks me up every time. And by the way, I can always trust Ron to, not do anything naughty on his notebooks or anything like that. So the first time you guys are listening to it is the first time I'm listening to it, because I kind of like to have that authentic reaction for those of you who are watching it on via Facebook Live. So it's always the first time that I'm listening to it. And that was another really good one. But I almost fell out laughing because it was just really funny. I thought it was funny anyway. Anyhow, my guest for the first hour is Joe Murphy. He's a best-selling author. The name of his most recent book is Living Full Tilt, Celebrating Life. Now, you may be asking yourself, why does Melanie have a guest on talking about celebrating life with the business and money show? Well, you are about to find out once you meet the wonderful Joe Murphy, who, like I said, I met at the National Publicity Summit in Manhattan about a month ago. And without further, instead of me doing your bio, Joe, I thought it would be a good idea if you just did a similar pitch to what you did with me in Manhattan. And then I think my audience will understand why I had you on the show.
Well, thank you, Melanie. It's a pleasure to be here with your audience, and I appreciate this opportunity. The reason we got along is that my talk, what my book, Living Full Tilt, Celebrate Life, is about is acknowledging and utilizing our choice to make the best of whatever situation we're facing. Whatever we're doing in life, whatever is facing us and coming our way, we see it. Maybe it's a dark tunnel, maybe it's a train coming right at us. We can choose to see ourselves as a victim and get hit, or we can choose to see life giving us an opportunity to make the best of it and to find the value there. There's something life has given us to learn so that we can add and enhance our lives. This is not always easy to understand, but it's always within our power. And our power is what Money Talk with Melanie is all about.
Indeed it is. And so I always think that every now and then that we need to talk about the part of entrepreneurship that drives us, the part of entrepreneurship that makes it most difficult, in my opinion, and that's this part. That's the life part to me. At least that's my experience. That makes it most difficult in accomplishing our goals. It's how we approach life, how we feel about life. And that's why I thought it would be a good idea to have you on the show. And that it may seem strange at first, but when you think about it, and anybody who's ever run their own business or tried to accomplish a big goal knows that when it comes down to it, it really is your perspective on life that will help you in accomplishing that goal. Yes. It's your organization. Yes, it's your discipline. Yes, it's your support system. Yes, it's all of those things. But ultimately, it's your outlook on life that really, in my opinion, does it. And whether you're appreciative of it or not, and that kind of thing. So tell us how you got from point A to point B and what made you decide to write the book and all of that kind of stuff, because that's what we talked about at the summit.
Well, Melanie, my career has been about looking at society, finding challenges that people were facing, finding one that resonated with me, creating the solution, and taking it to the marketplace. After the last company I created, after it failed, I had to pay my bills. I had to take care of my family, so I took a position temporarily driving with Lyft driver, and I discovered I loved driving with Lyft. I loved to drive, and I loved meeting, talking with people, and sharing insights and listening to people share their experiences and what they were worried about, what train was about to knock them off their track, and then sharing with them an insight on how to best handle that. And made my day.
I love the fact that that's the part of the job that you love, and I think everybody kind of varies with what they want in their Lyft driver or in their Uber driver. And I think it depends on your mood too. Like sometimes you really want to chat up your Uber driver or your Lyft driver and talk about, all the philosophical things about life, and then sometimes you just want peace and quiet. And I'm sure that's been your experience too as a driver, right?
Oh yes, I've given over 8,000 rides in my time.
Wow!
And I have probably about 10% of my passengers do not want to talk, and I respect that. We have a quiet ride where they do their telephone calls, or they're on their computer, or maybe they're just thinking ahead, thinking about their day. But whatever the passenger wants is my chief goal is giving them the safe ride that they're looking for and they expect, but also giving them the time to reflect and do what they need to do. And those that are open to it, receptive to sharing what has them worried, or what is their biggest obstacle at the moment, sharing that, and then listening to insight, whether it's a closely guarded secret passed down through the ages, or it's the latest finding insight about the power within us. People often tell me when they get out, they say, "Well, Joe, this was what I needed right now, because this has shows me what to do." I've been called the car counselor.
So you discovered through driving Lyft that you actually had a gift.
Oh, I love this. We're all in this game together.
That is very true. Now, what was your business before you started driving for Lyft? You said you had a business that failed. What was that business?
Well, this is kind of like a few weeks back. You had a money talk moment talking about life insurance for stay-at-home parents.
Yes.
I was in the life insurance business, and I quickly realized that a lot of families could not afford all the insurance security they wanted for their family. So I asked the question, what can I do? Because I've learned that the questions we ask get answered. So I asked, what can I do? And I had a vision of a better way. And I created a whole new platform where every family in this country could have be able to have all the insurance security they wanted, no money out of their pocket, ever. And because I was in insurance, and I know the insurance is highly regulated, I worked with the Department of Insurance for 2 years to get their approval, because I wasn't doing anything new, but the different pieces that I put together had never been put together like I did. So I created a whole new platform. I created an association called the Family Resource Network. I created a network marketing company, and I had my life insurance agency. And we work with members only, but anybody can be a member. And a member could take whatever we sold. We gave them a credit line, but we could never send them a bill. So families came in and said, "Joe, I want $100,000 in life insurance." Or we had some doctors and lawyers come and say, "I need $5 million of life insurance for my family." They would apply for the insurance with one of the companies we represented. We would get that policy for them in their name, deliver it to them, and we paid the premiums. Now, nothing is free.
Right.
So what we did was we had a lien on that policy that when they passed away, whenever that day was, their family would receive the insurance money they wanted them to have, but we would make sure there was enough money there also for us to get paid back.
Right, minus the premiums.
All the premiums we'd paid out plus interest, we'd be paid at that time.
Right.
Okay? So people thought we went from 0 to 100,000 customers in 90 days. And quite frankly, we would have controlled the new business market for life insurance in this country.
Sure.
But because why would it was a no-brainer? Why would you say no?
Right.
I mean, so, and then we had a network marketing company, and we said, "No, if you think this is great, tell your friends what we did for you, that you got this, no money out of your pocket, you have it in your hands today. Not what may happen someday, but right now, and tell them to come see us if they'd like for it too, and if they do, we will pay you."
Right.
So, and then after giving you 1 year to build your income up, we will begin to make a deduction from the check we're paying you to pay us off early. You see what I'm saying?
Yes. So where was I'm trying to figure out where the failure in the business model was.
Well, there was no failure in the business model. The failure was the problem was the Department of Insurance. They took me to court, took my licenses away. I took it to the Texas Supreme Court, and I pointed out that the Department of Insurance in court, taking my licenses away, they acknowledged they had no evidence I did anything wrong. I did nothing wrong. They told me I could do it. They never told me to stop. They violated my due process. But none of this mattered because they were not going to let me do it after they had told me I could.
I'm licensed too, and I'm trying to figure out where I can't figure out off the top of my head where the violation is. Just like
there
off the top of my...
Yeah. There was no violation. There was zero violation.
They just didn't want you to do it because really, that's amazing. I could see why they wouldn't want you to do it because you're overcoming that. That is in the Facebook chat. There are reaction buttons, and I see a couple of people reacting angrily, and I can understand why. Like that is really infuriating.
Yes, my wife. We lost now listen to this. The policies that have been issued, that the insurance companies had issued and the people had in their hands, the Department of Insurance required that these policies be rescinded, be sent back to the insurance company, every one of them invalidated, and the people that had never paid any money out of their pocket received the refunds.
Wow.
The Department of Insurance, they were out to totally financially destroy me.
Was this
and
the
they did.
feds? Or was this your state or the feds?
No, state insurance
It's your
is
state.
state run.
Right. Which state was this?
Texas.
Really?
Yes. And the Texas Supreme Court, I took it to the Texas Supreme Court, and the Texas Supreme Court said that they ruled, well, what happened was wrong. The state was wrong to take your licenses away, but we are not going to hear your case. We are going to let it stand.
Wow. So the ruling of the lower court stood.
Yeah. And see, it was all done through administrative procedure. Administrative procedure is a third body of law in this country. It's the law that most people aren't unfamiliar with. It's only for businesses in dealing with the government.
Right.
And the big problem with that is there's basically no separation of power.
Right.
Because there is a judge, but the judge does not make a decision. The judge issues what's called a proposal, and he sends his proposal to both attorneys, the prosecutor and the defense, and says, what do you think? And they can make the changes they want to make in it, suggest changes, but you can imagine how frequently the judge listens to the defense. It's like imagine you're in your city, the DA is a hotly contested election. He needs something to save his day, so he has a high profile murder case that has gone unresolved, and suddenly he says, "You did it." Now I have no evidence you did it, but you did it. And so you go to court, he charges you for it, you go to court, and the judge listens and writes his proposal and sends it to the two attorneys, and the prosecutor can say, well, I don't care what you said, Judge, she did it, and that's all there is to it, and that is the decision that is rendered. What
were you charged with that day? Because it has to be something major for your insurance license to get pulled.
Oh, yeah. They found me guilty of fraudulent and dishonest practices. There was nothing. They had looked at they had studied, worked at my case for 2 years, found nothing they could find, nothing that was wrong, and yet they found, and then said they told me I could do it. Yet they found me guilty of fraud and dishonest practices.
Right. They're not going to take responsibility for the fact that they gave you permission to do it.
Right.
That is stunning.
And so you may imagine. I mean, it was stunning. We lost everything except each other.
I'm just thinking of all the crap that you go through. Anybody who's got their license knows all the crap that you go through, especially in that particular area, the financial area, before you get your license. Like they send you through all these hoops. Right. And they're really strict. So I don't see you opening like an entire business using that model if they don't give you permission to do it. Katina, you're licensed, so you know what I'm talking about, right?
Right.
So, you have to do a whole thing on money laundering. So, a whole class.
So visualize this. I had the case. The court records had the prosecuting the attorney for the state, my attorney, and the judge meeting in the judge's chambers and having a discussion before it ever went to court. And the state attorney, the prosecuting attorney says, Judge, this is what they're doing. We understand what they're doing. We can't find anything wrong with it, but we're not going to let them do it. And so then, when it goes to court, the judge issues his proposal. The Department of Insurance made their comments, and the Commissioner of Insurance finds me guilty of fraudulent and dishonest practices, even though their own attorney, they knew about it, they had approved it. They had told the judge hearing the case, we have no evidence he did anything wrong.
Because there has to be something that, I mean, there's no fraud. There's no fraud that I can think of. Right. And Richard in the Facey chat said, it's real simple. You were threatening the big boys. That's the first thing that popped in my head was what person on what agency that's politically connected in Texas whose business you were threatening. That's what came to my mind, because none of that makes any sense to me.
Right.
Because it has to be, there's no fraud there.
No, it was everything was straight up. Families were getting the insurance they needed. Families were making money they needed for the society, for this country. And yet it was all taken away because the Department of Insurance was not going to let the status quo get disrupted.
And what's really infuriating about that, really makes me mad about that, really, I mean, not only did they ruin your business, but instead of reaching out to you and seeing how they could partner with you so that the people who were benefiting from that wouldn't get affected, they just decided to screw everybody, pardon my language, out of greed.
Yeah.
Out of greed.
That's
like
right.
That is what is the most bothersome about that whole entire scenario.
Right. I mean, the untold, uncountable people, families that could have had insurance and making money, more and more, all the money they needed for this country, for the lifestyle they wanted. All of that was in place. All of it was ready to go. Plus, on top of that, we using the life insurance, we would have been a major player in retirement savings. You know, when your person is putting together their financial portfolio, you want to have some money in stocks and equities, but you also want to have some money in secured savings.
Of course. And
CDs, bonds. Well, we had using the life insurance, we had a secured savings where people could invest, put money and have the principal guaranteed 100% and receive 6 to 8% interest annual guaranteed. And they can't get that anywhere else. You cannot get that today or anytime, but we had it in place for it to happen. People would have had the retirement centers they needed for their secured savings to put it in a place that could rival many stocks.
The mistake you made was you didn't shake the right hands. You didn't. I mean, really. I mean, you know, I'm somebody who's involved in politics, and you know, you didn't shake the right hands. You didn't get the right people's permission before you decided to do that. Well, because you thought it was America, and that you know you could just like start businesses like that, and it would be cool. And for the most part, that's true.
For the most part.
For the most part, that's true. Except in certain areas, in certain businesses. Like, I would think anything medical and insurance and banking is probably off limits. Unfortunately.
But I would say this too, Melanie. All in all, I see it as this is kind of one of those things where we have the power. I was saying earlier, we have the power to see, is this train going to, am I a victim or what gift was here for me? And I, at first, all I could see was being a victim. I felt betrayed. I felt angry. I was just mad and hurt. I had all kinds of mixed negative emotions. But I came to realize that it was a gift for me in this, because what was greater was really my book that I have written about the 3 living full tilt, celebrate life, how to make the best of whatever life has thrown at you, wherever you're at, whatever you're facing, how to make the best of it. And it's all about love and forgiveness. Let go of the past. Forgiveness is a gift we give ourselves. We cannot engage fully in this moment if we have not let go of things that happened in the past. Because if we haven't forgiven and let go, our parts of our mind and heart is still stuck there, and we can't, which means we can't fully engage, be it play at our strength today, here and now.
That's very true.
So this, as much as hard as it was for me to understand, this what I created next is this book and this. I'm creating an online community where we work together, we share our experiences together, we grow together. This is what we can do with what life gives us. It's kind of like what I think of as a pop quiz. Life gives me a little pop quiz to see how I'm going to react, and reacting is almost always negative, if for no other reason I wasn't expecting that intrusion. Or am I going to respond and ask myself, what's the best thing for me to do now? Find the gift. Find the gift. There's always a gift. What's the best thing for me to do now?
Right.
Does that make sense?
It does make sense. It makes a lot of sense. And so after the case was final and you decided what you were going to do now, what did you decide to do?
Well, I decided to. I had to drive with Lyft to pay bills, and then drive with having my book. First, I was going to start writing. The book was going to be about the law of attraction, about how to attract to you what you want in life. But then, as my conversations with my passengers, and we had many, I've had over like 4,000 deep conversations during this time. I learned that the most important thing we can do, and what people need to do first, is learn to love themselves. Let me give you an example. Think back to visualize back to when you were born. When you were born, and the doctor, the nurse, handed you to your mother after she had just given birth to you. Okay, I can visualize her radiating joy and love and pride. That's a baby. Can you visualize that?
I don't know how happy she was about that. I'm kidding.
Okay. Well, what I'm saying to you, Melanie, is that, and what I say to my passengers is that's how our Creator looks at us every moment.
That's good stuff.
Every moment, we are loved more than we can understand, more than we can comprehend. We are loved. But the problem is, if we have let something disrupt our feeling of love for ourselves, we have effectively tied a knot in that love coming to us. Because if we don't feel love, we can't receive love. Does that see what I'm saying?
It does. It certainly does. Okay. And a lot of times we let how other people treat us or, outside things that happen, we let it be a reflection on us, and it's really a reflection on the other person.
Right, absolutely. We take things personal that aren't personal, because if personal means ownership. If I didn't say it, do it, or think it, it may be about me, right? But it's not personal to me because it's personal to the person that did.
Exactly.
And when I take it personal, that I am making myself a victim, I'm giving them my power.
That's exactly true, and it takes a long time to get to that point, and it is a very healing thing, because when stuff goes wrong or when people don't treat us well, we tend to go over in our minds and think, what is it that we could have done differently to make things turn out differently, to make that person treat us better, or to make people do right? What could I have done differently to make that person do right? When the answer is nothing.
Absolutely, it's not within our power. We can't make another person do anything. We have enough trouble controlling being in charge of our own thoughts, words, and actions, because sometimes that can be difficult.
Exactly. And once you get to that point, forgiveness is easy after that. Once you it really is. I think that weight is lifted once you start to understand that whatever it is that person did to you is them. It's not you. You understand it, once you really understand that it's not you. Now, sometimes it is you. Like, if you legitimately did something, like maybe it was you. Like, if you punch somebody in the face and they punched you back in the face, okay, then that was you.
Right.
But you know what I'm saying. But if somebody is, mean to you, and you didn't do anything, or in your case where you obeyed the laws and you did everything that you were supposed to do, and it just didn't work out the way it was supposed to, you can't sit around and beat yourself up about that. Otherwise, you would just have, stewed in that negativity, and and the only person it would have affected is you too. Because I can guarantee you that those heathens are moving about their life just fine and not even thinking about what they did.
Mm-hmm. Right, moved on. They moved on.
Exactly.
You're familiar with Jack Campbell, Jack Canfield, author of Chicken Soup for the Soul?
Yes, of course.
Okay, so about a dozen years ago, my wife and I had gone to see him in Dallas speaking, and so visualize a big auditorium. I mean, probably 1,000 people in there, and we're on these chairs sitting, and in the middle of the day, he's walking out in the crowd talking to us, and as about 4 rows behind me, he stops and turns to this young woman at the end, and he says, I ask her, how are you doing? Are you glad you're here? And she's all bubbly, excited. Yes, I'm having a great time. I'm learning. This is so great. Thank you. And then he tore into her. He tore her up one side and down the other and put his heel on what was left. And then he said, well, what do you think now? And she was crying. And he said, there's only one thing for you to be thinking. That is, what's his problem? Do not take the baggage of my emotions. Just look at my words, code and this code the words themselves, and look and weigh them out. But I concluded that she must have been a part of this show to help him make this point, because after a dozen years, my wife and I remember that point very well. He was saying to her, don't take things personal that are not personal.
Right. Exactly.
Because that drove it home.
And for the most part, and this is the other thing, we don't want to believe that, because I think we view everything through our own personal lens, right? Our own personal set of values.
Yeah.
I know. That's like the real funny part, right? So we think everybody should think the way we think. Because, of course, the way we think is a model of perfection. Right?
Right.
It's not, the way we think is not a compilation of our experiences and our upbringing and our values or anything like that. It's everybody else. But ours is perfection. No, but Christina said that's true for her. Of course, just for you. But for real, I think for the most part, everybody's doing the best they can with what they got. That's the
Absolutely.
thing. For the most, I mean, some people are legitimate jerks, but I and just don't care and are evil. There's legitimate evil in the world, but there's no question about that. But I think for the average, run of the mill, destroying the average run of the mill person is doing the best they can with what they got. Yeah, destroying the insurance business is personal. I don't disagree, Eric, about that. And I would put that in the category of evil, something that, you got to let God take care of.
Right.
I would put that in the evil category, just if for no other reason than it affected more than one person, and it was for something good to do. And Katina says she's awesome and as close to perfect as there is on earth. Of course you are, sugar. Me too. But I think for the most part, people are doing the best they can, and the best they can just comes out the way it comes out, and sometimes it doesn't come out well. And I assume that there are times when my best doesn't come out as awesome as I think it did.
That's right. Well, you may remember. When President Nixon was at one point, when he was president, he said something to the effect of, "I understand. I know that you know what I said, but what you don't know is what I said was not what I intended to say." Because most of us, if not all of us, have moments when we think, "Where'd those words come from?" We don't. Things happen that we're not at our best at that moment. But it's kind of like you may have likely heard it said we can be driving down the road, and the person that passes us, we think, "Oh, that person's just driving way too fast," and then the person that we have to pass, well, that person is so slow. It's like you were saying a few moments ago. Our model is right, and we don't understand their model because we're not in their shoes. This Ian McClan said that be kind to everyone because everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle.
Exactly. And I always say that, only, and I feel like a lot of people don't understand this, and I try to bear this in mind, and God knows I forget probably constantly, that, only God sees things 360. You know what I mean? Like we're only seeing like usually like the front of things. We only use 10% of our brains, for God's sake. So, we're only processing with the little bit of our brains that we use. We're only seeing a little bit of that person, and we're not seeing it from a 360-degree angle, and we're certainly not seeing it from within that person's heart. So as much as we want to really decide that we know everything that's going on, we usually do not.
We don't.
You know what I mean? Like, we really honestly have no clue. So,
yes, absolutely.
You got to really try hard to just back away and not do that. And Katina said it's scary and sad that they could go after him like that and the courts didn't make it right. I agree. It makes me angry. I'm angry about that situation too. And I'm wondering if there's any way for you to try that again, like if enough time has passed, if it could be if regulations have changed or anything like that, like if it could be fought again on a different basis. You know how that happens sometimes?
Yes, I could never do them again. I couldn't even go to a different state because the Department of Insurance found me guilty of fraud.
Right, so you don't even have your license. Right.
They poisoned the well. I mean, nobody would talk to me seriously about that.
Right.
But at the same time, even the Viktor Frankl was a Holocaust survivor. He was a psychiatrist before he was put in the concentration camp. His whole family was there with him. He saw each one of them die. He survived, got out and wrote a book called Man's Search for Meaning. And he said one of the great things he said was, even in the most direst times, man retains his greatest power, the power to choose. It's always ours. No one can take that from us. And even if I could do the state, even if I were able to, with that much money at stake and involved, there would always be outside forces that could take it away because it's external. But the internal, is learning to love ourselves, forgive ourselves, and find our purpose and serve that. And that's all internal. That is those are the three choices, three powers that we have that no one can take away from us, and that will make our life what we want it to be, regardless of how it looks to someone else.
That's incredible that you were able to come to that conclusion under those circumstances, because as you can tell from the reactions of, some of my listeners in the Facey chat, they're livid. They're absolutely livid that happened to you. I'm livid. Like, I'm trying to, I'm ready to write a letter to Senator Cruz and be like, what the heck, dude? Like, what the heck?
How do you call that freedom? How do you call that justice? I mean, the Supreme Court said
was he your senator then? Was he your senator then? When this happened, how long ago was this?
Oh, this all happened in 01. It started in 01. I mean, it's been too long ago now. It was a long drawn out battle.
That's ridiculous. Like, that just doesn't make any sense at all.
That's controlling the status quo. It's kind of like, today, almost the entire world carries smartphones. But back there was a time before Apple brought out the smartphone, the feature phone, what we call the feature phone, that was the phone at the time. And the Nokia and Ericsson, they controlled the market. And when Apple brought out when they first saw the first smartphone, pardon me, they said, "Oh, that's nothing. They won't make any difference." And had this been had there been a government control over it, where they could have said, "We're going to protect the status quo," we would still be using feature phones.
Right. Let me ask you this. I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. I want to ask you one more question about your business and your business model. Did you have people under you that were selling insurance too, and did they also lose their licenses, or was it just you?
I'm the only one that lost my license. I had agents in 40. Suddenly we had agents in 40 states because I wanted to include the insurance agents. One of my insurance company liaisons, district manager, said, "Joe, you don't need insurance agents for this." But I wanted everyone to raise the tide, raise the level, the boats for everyone. The insurance agents, let each insured have an agent that they could deal with first, face to face.
And you can't have an agency unless you're licensed. I was trying to think of a business model where you could still do the business and not be licensed, but you do have to be licensed to even have an agency. Yeah, I was just remembering that. That is just that's just super frustrating. Where can you get the that's just angering, physically making my person hot. Angering. Where can we buy the book so that we can learn how to not be super angry about this?
Well,
everybody in my Facey chat needs to pick up a copy because they are all super pissed right now, just like I am.
This is fully detailed in my book, and it's also fully detailed how I learned to get over it, how I learned to see that every event is a gift. And my book is available on Amazon.
Okay, good. And it's called Living Full Tilt, correct? I put a link to your website in the Facebook chat too, a couple times.
I appreciate that.
That is wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. We really appreciate it.
Well, Melanie, I am so grateful to be with you today and to have this opportunity to chat and to share, because it really is all about learning to love ourselves and to forgive, to find our purpose, serve our purpose, and be in the flow of love.
I agree. And I really am glad that you shared the background with us, because it really shows how far you were able to come and how well your methods work. Because it's clear to me, and I'm sure it's clear to the audience, that you really are truly at peace with the situation. So,
well, thank you, Melanie.
No, so I think, it's a good idea to pick up the book and read how you did it. Because I'm ready to go key somebody's car for real. Like, I'm mad. I would never do that, but I'm super mad right now.
Well,
really?
It has been a pleasure.
Infuriating. It has been a pleasure talking to you, Mr. Murphy. I really appreciate you being on the show today.
Just call me Joe. Melanie, you have a great day.
Thank you. You have a great day.
Thank you. Bye-bye now.
Bye. That was Joe Murphy, the author of the Amazon bestseller, Living Full Tilt, Celebrate Life. And you can get that book on Amazon. You can also visit his website at livingfulltilt.com. Thank you guys for listening. My next guest is Christy Mattoon. She's a best-selling author who's in a subconscious mind expert. Similar topic, but it's on a totally different vibe. And we're going to talk about how to do that in business. We're going to take a quick break and then we will be right back. I want to thank you all for listening. Hang on for my next guest. We'll be back in a couple of minutes. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. We'll be right back.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, this is Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Join us for The Right Way with Shannon and Mike, Monday through Thursday from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on SHR Media.
Why are they joining us?
For fun things like sports, politics,
Oh, maybe some news and entertainment?
and all kinds of other things.
Money and recipes and events? All kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so join us Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. here on SHRmedia.com.
From a public locker inside a dilapidated Long Island rail station comes a show designed to piss off liberals using truth, facts, and ridicule. The Lynn Radio Show, featuring the conservative voice from the People's Republic of New York, the Lynn himself, Jeff Dunnis. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com. And Lynn Radio, we fight for the truth, justice, and a good kosher T-bone. If you don't listen, Hillary Clinton might sneak into your bedroom in her housecoat late at night and blame you for her election loss. It's the Lynn Radio Show with Jeff Dunnis. Hey girls, Carry Girl Gear is here. More and more women every day are concealed carrying, participating in competitive shooting, and getting firearms training. It's not a boys' club anymore, and we don't have to shop in their stores anymore either. Finally, a cool and unique clothing line just for women. Dope tees and hats for the patriotic concealed carry and 2A girl. So what are you waiting for? Go check out carrygirlgear.com today.
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
Show on the SHR Media Network, Sackheads Against Tyranny. On shrmedia.com, go there quick like a bunny, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific, every Wednesday. Live and direct on the SHR Media Network. shrmedia.com, be there. For 50 years, I've seen the American people blinded by corrupt politicians, a lapdog media, and deceptive Islam. The one thing the elites fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through Spreaker, iTunes, and Sound.